Welcome to D.O.T. University. I'm Ryan, the D.O.T. guy. Today we're bringing you a What the Truck Wednesday video. In this video, it's going to be story time where I'm going to share with you one of my past events when I was a state trooper in Colorado of when the guy broke his truck in half. It's a pretty good story. Sit back and enjoy the ride. You're not going to want to miss this video. Now make sure you support D.O.T. University by clicking that subscribe and like button, and make sure you ring that bell so that you can get notified when we're coming out with new content that can help you stay off the radar. On this What the Truck Wednesday, I'm going to be bringing you a story back when I was a state trooper for the Colorado State Patrol of a guy who broke his truck in half. But before we get to all that, if you find yourself needing some help with DOT compliance, make sure you reach out to us at Front Range Compliance Services. You can check out our website at www.frontrange.compliance.com. Got a lot of great information on there. Best yet, how to get a hold of us. Additionally, you can call us at DOT University at 720-951-5808. So feel free to reach out to there. You can also reach us by email at info@frontrangecompliance.com. Now with that, we'll go ahead and get into the video. So this all started back when I was sitting in my desk. I was at Motor Carrier Safety, and I got a phone call. The phone rings. It's a trooper. Says, Ryan, I need you out here. This guy just broke his truck in half. So when I rolled out there and, he was giving me all the information, by the time I got out there, when I parked, this was the scene that I saw. I see this truck kind of coming up this hill. And if you're familiar with this area, this is going to be Heritage Square. This is kind of an area where Colfax kind of goes out, kind of west of Golden a little bit, curves around, starts to go up a hill. Basically what happened is this driver had just got his this truck, and he starts to head up this hill. And as he's heading up the hill, he goes to shift gears and he grinds it out, didn't know how to properly shift, and he panics. So he's revving the engine, he's popping the clutch, and he slams as that truck rolls to a stop and just starts creeping backwards. He's revving that engine, he slams that into low gear, he hits the granny, pops that clutch, revs the engine, and all that torque just went through and it broke that truck absolutely in half. So when I got there, what I saw, I went up, I started talking to the driver. He told me, he says, no, this guy, he didn't have a license. He claimed somebody else was driving, that's kind of par for the course. But what we kind of typically, or what we found is that this guy, when he was driving, he didn't have a CDL. He didn't know how to drive. He kept telling me he just bought the truck. Apparently the guy that was driving it, he was supposedly riding passenger seat, and the other guy just took off and walked away from the crash. But he kept telling me he got a really great deal on this truck. So we went through, started looking at it, doing a little post-incident inspection, and you can see there's some liquid stuff there behind it. Well, this was the scene. When he broke that truck in half, he rested it down on both those saddles tanks, popped those diesel tanks. All that diesel fuel is now running down toward the creek. Then so the fire department had to come out, hazmat had to come out, everybody had to come out to see this big showing. But as you can see very clearly, this truck is broken in half. So what I did was I went up, started inspecting the frame, and what I saw was this frame crack right here, and it's broken on both sides. I'll show you the other side, the passenger side, here in just a minute. But you can see that frame, it's just completely broken. And when we kind of zoom in, we get a little bit closer to it, you can see on this particular unit, you can see this crack. Now all this shiny steel that we have kind of all up in here, that's all fresh crack. That is brand new from this incident. But you can see these cracks in this frame rail right down through this area with that heavy, deep pitted rust. Those cracks have been there for a while. When this guy tells me, hey, I got a good deal on this truck, well, I think we now figured out why. So this truck probably, it needed to go to a frame shop, get that frame fresh plated, properly repaired, or better yet, probably to the scrap yard, part it out, whatever the case could be. So you can see this frame crack right here. You see as I kind of get a little bit of a different angle at it, you can see that deep pitted rust. Those cracks have been there for a while in that frame. And all that torque from that engine, when he was revving that and slammed that into the granny and popped that clutch, it just was too much for that old red truck. And when I crossed over to the other side and looked at it, kind of went in right up above the saddle tank, you can see that brake. Now you can see it's not as far forward as the brake that's on the other side. It's a little bit further back. But again, we could find that there was also some cracks up underneath there, inside that area. So again, as you're training your drivers, have them watch for those frame cracks. Any cracks in that rail, especially if they're in that area of the torque of all that, where that weight rests between the axles and the drive axles and the cab. that's going to be a definite weak area. But any cracks in that frame are bad, but cracks that are definitely pointed down toward that bottom flange are even worse, because that's what's going to separate that frame when it goes through and cracks. Now, what you can see looking at this, again, you can see the pitted rust that's kind of in that area as you kind of get down and look at it. It's definitely, this truck had definitely seen better days. You can see that those cracks in that frame rail, they have been there for quite some time. If anything, somebody had once upon a time tried to weld a bead right over the top of them. Who knows what had happened? But this is just goes to show you, you know, you can do PTIs, you can put units to work out there, but sometimes you just got to retire that old truck. It's not just good to keep putting it on a road, but better yet, make sure your drivers are qualified, properly know how to shift. Now with that, if you do need some help, reach out to us at DOT University. Thanks for watching our What the Truck Wednesday. We'll catch you on the next video. Yep.